manager I've seen in 60 years of following Tottenham. So that's where I stand on Ange. Let me be very clear on that. What I'm talking about is the player's mentality. That's what
That's his job, Lubo.
I'm not talking about the manager. I'm not talking about his lack of tactics. I'm just talking on where the players earn a lot of money. They have a responsibility.
But this is one of the excuses. It's a young squad. It's a young squad. When you've got younger players, you need your experienced manager to be putting an arm around you and showing you the way forward, showing some leadership, orchestrating. Look at Unai Emery on the touchline yesterday, orchestrating. Right. He knew his team were they had injuries. 3/4 of their backline were missing yesterday.
The younger players have been better.
Like this, telling people this is where you've got to be here. This is when you've got to be here. Our manager not saying anything.
But that's a different subject.
It's not a different subject, Lubo.
No, it is.
Because when you've got injuries, your manager should be talking more. You need talkers. You need people's. This is when you do. You're right. This is when you're right, Lubo. This is when
one of you at a time. You're both talking literally. Ben, finish off, and then Lubo come back.
You need your manager to be talking to say, "Okay, boys, G them up, show them. Okay, boys." Give him a bit of encouragement. But he looks like he's dead in the water because he is dead in the water. He won't talk to them. And he's wondering why they're getting stuff wrong because he's not coaching them. He's not coaching situational philosophy. You've got to have a philosophy, of course. But in certain situations, to hell with philosophy, we need bloody points on the board because that's the way football works. It's a results business. That's why you have to have talking in your backline, but he doesn't like it. Get rid of him. He's not teaching situations. It's a vanity, like we've said it before, Sabbath, it's a vanity project that he can try and prove it. Worst manager I've ever seen. Worst manager I've ever seen. Yeah. On to you, Lubo.
I agree with everything you said, Ben, but I think if a player goes out on a pitch, then their mentality's got to be right. It can't be, I can't be asked, this manager hasn't got a clue, I can't play this way. You're going out, you're taking God knows what, 20, 30, 50, 150, 180 grand a week. You go out with the right focus, the right concentration and the right mentality. I'm sorry, that's just about personal pride. It's about going out, but virtually most people go out when they do their work, whatever job it is, right? Whether you're a train driver, whether you're a doctor, whatever it is, whatever, you go out and you do your best, regardless of whether you like your boss, whether he's put you on the right project, whether you think you could do better for him in another situation. You go out. It's about what's in there. And it's about what comes from there as well. I teach my kids, it's how well you do comes from the heart. If it's not there, if that drive and that determination is not there, then you're going to...
This is like, Lubo, though. It's like giving Lewis Hamilton the greatest car in the world and expecting him to win races without a steering wheel. He's going to, I can't bloody turn, mate. You ain't giving me a steering wheel.
But Ben, the difference is that Hamilton used to complain because Red Bull had a far superior car. But Hamilton, even though his car wasn't as good as Verstappen's, he went out and he gave 100% every single race. I know their lives depend on it as well, so maybe it's the wrong analogy. But the point I'm making is he would give 100%, even though his car wasn't as good as the next person's.
Can I ask you a question, though, Lubo? I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, I know this sounds really wishy-washy. I agree with both of you. I completely agree with Ben that, you've got a manager that's not cajoling. He's not coaching. We can see game to game, nothing changes tactically. We're so wide open that nothing is clearly being worked on. I agree with you, Lubo, that yes, the players have to go out and play for pride and they should be fighting for the badge. But here's my question to you two. if we want to have this debate of mentality versus coaching, which is what we're debating, do we agree on that? We're debating coaching versus mentality. If we're gonna have that,
I think.
Hang on. Let me. If we're gonna have this debate, right?
Yeah.
For me, I get it, right? I get what the players need to do. But don't you think, Lubo, the fact when they're seeing the same thing every game, the same tactics adopted every game from their manager, they're hearing from their manager in press conferences that they've done really, really well. I'm really proud of what they've done for the last 2.5 months. Forget that I know he didn't say this, but forget that we're losing week in, week out. We've done well, brilliantly. SAVVA. He turned around and he said after the Liverpool game, I can't put anything on whatever he said about, I can't put anything on the senior players. I can't ask any more of them. And they're seeing that, Lubo. They're seeing the same thing week in, week out. They're seeing no tactical changes. He doesn't adapt. He doesn't make us hard to beat. Surely at what point, Lubo, as a human being, do you do we as human beings go, this is now the 50th game in a row we've done this shit.
Yeah. I hate losing.
You go, I've lost, I've switched off. I'm not into it anymore. Whether that's consciously, subconsciously, these players, you can see they're not interested in this style. You can see it a mile off.
Yeah.
No, listen, the players are no fools. If a new player comes in and he's not got it, those players will see it. Manager comes in and he's not good, the players will see it. They're no idiots. The players will know. They'll fully understand what's going on at Tottenham. They'll fully see all of Ange's flaws. You know, all of them would have had other managers as well, so they'll have someone to compare them to as well. Even Gray, who's been at Leeds, you know, had their manager who just missed out on promotion last year. So he'll see. He would have taken advice from. He's got a family of professional footballers. He'll be discussing Ange with them, and they'll be coming back and talking about the managers. You know, people like Clough and Revie that they played under, etc., etc. So all the players will be aware that this guy is absolutely hopeless. Now the shame is that you haven't got someone like a Roy Keane character who would get the players together, and he would be the manager on the pitch, and he would sort of supersede a lot of what Ange's shit, and he would try and
I agree with you, Lubo, but that player would be the first player that Ange would kick out the dressing room because he doesn't like leaders. He doesn't like leaders. He gets rid of them.
What did he say this season? He said, and I am not making this up, you all saw it. He said, there are two ways to get leaders into your team. You can acquire them, i.e. buy them, or you can develop them. My preference is option B. I want to develop them. So again, we're talking about mentality. The manager himself is saying, I don't want that. And Ben's got a point. Imagine you had a Roy Keane in this team, Lubo, right? Just imagine. I love it because we all, don't we? All football fans, as soon as we talk about mentality, we all go, Roy Keane, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Tony Adams, someone like that, yeah.
But look at what, so let's use your point, Lubo. Look at what Roy Keane, the pundit, ex-pro, has said about this. Yeah. He is the one saying, right? He is the one saying it's tactics. Spurs are easy to run through. Yeah, he hasn't plugged the holes. Roy Keane himself. Now imagine, this is a mild Roy Keane who's now a pundit. Now imagine you've got the fiery mid-20s, 25, 26-year-old captain of Ireland and Man United Roy Keane in that dressing room going to Ange, this is awful. We need to stop this. Yeah. Gaffer, this doesn't work. Ben's right. Ange the first thing he would do would be falling out with you. I'm falling out with you. And I guarantee you that's what's happened. I guarantee you Romero has said something. I guarantee you Romero has said something. I guarantee Maddison has said something. And this is the problem. And I'm not saying the players are faultless. No, the players are not faultless. But this is the point. The manager said he didn't want leaders. The manager's the one that's told them at the beginning of the season, there's no reason we can't challenge. The manager's the one saying, I'm really happy with my squad. The manager's the one saying that he didn't want centre-backs at the end of the summer. He didn't want centre-backs. Then suddenly going, what am I meant to do if Van de Ven and Romero are injured? Well, I know, but you knew their injury records, and you still said you didn't want centre-backs. So is this mentality of the players alone? Is it the manager alone? Is it all of them? And is it the mentality that's shifting down from Enoch, Levy, Munn, Lang, Ange, the players? The whole thing, is a shit show. Yeah. And this massive pie, imagine this was a big pie, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's not just Ange in there, right? I can section that up. Here's Lang, here's Munn, here's the scouts, here's the medical team, here's the players, here's the manager, here's the owners. The whole thing's a shit show. But I'll end it with this, my little rant. I'll end with this. Ben is spot on. When you've got a manager on the sideline, right? You saw this. Lubo, we watched Man City Orient. The moment there was a player down injured, Richie Wellens went, here, in, you. He was grabbing them by the neck. You. I want you here. Get in there, tuck in. Yeah. Boom, go. You, come here. I want you. Our manager stands there like this. And yes,
a lot of the Ange defenders still bring back 20 months ago when Harry Kane left the club. What would you do when you lose the best club in the best player in the world in that position? If we had Harry Kane in that dressing room, would Ange be the manager? No,
I don't think so.
The first thing that would happen was he would go up to Daniel Levy. He'd be knocking on his door. Mr. Levy, this manager's crap. Get him out. That is the reason he would be happy that Harry Kane left.
You have to wonder. Ben, you have to wonder if that's going on now.
Player would be knocking on Levy's door and saying, we lose every single week because we've got nothing in midfield and we've got all our players up front. I've got no space to drop that deep into because the bloody fullbacks are there. I've got I can't do anything, boss. So Harry Kane's not there. Because
Ben, we all come back to the same question this morning. Why isn't Levy sacking him?
Can I give my theory on why, Lubo? Can I give my theory? Because I've joked in the last month. You know I have, Lubo. You know what I think about Daniel Levy, right? I've joked in the last month and I've said, I want my Levy back. I want my Levy back that sacks crap managers, right? The fact that he is not sacking this manager means one of two things to me. Either Ange is the greatest salesman of all time, which I think he must be because he's duped most of the fan base, right? Either he's the greatest salesman of all time, or Lubo, what you and I have talked about before, is that Levy knows if he sacks Ange now, fans are going to forget that it's Ange. Fans are going to then once again highlight his awful ownership. That's, for me, is what's taking off of this. He is going to wait. I'm telling you, I know this owner. You know this owner, right? Enoch and Levy, whatever their roles are, right? He will wait, Lubo. You know I'm right. He will wait until he's got that rabbit up his sleeve. You know he will. The moment he's got that rabbit. Look at Conte. Conte came in. Everyone forgot what had happened. Conte. He sacks Poch. But it's Jose, one of the best managers that's ever lived, right? Yeah. This is what this manager does. He waits for the opportunity, and when that comes around, it will be right.
He's doing what Sean, one of Sean's quotes. He's giving him enough rope to hang himself, and then he can say,
"Of course."
And then he's saying, "You can't blame me, guys. Look at this. Look at this disaster."
But then maybe you'll say Europa League exit, and then he goes because we're out of everything.
Sure. I mean, if we're going to wait for the Europa League exit, but at the end of the day, this whole we've done this with the fan base, right? We've done this whole. Wait till he's out the League Cup. Wait till he's out the FA Cup. Now it's wait till he's out of Europe. At the end of the day, if you bring in a new manager, and I don't want to hear all this, what manager do you get who wants to come? Clubs go out, they buy managers out of their contracts and they get them in. That is the circle of life. That has always been the circle of football management. Yeah. If you go out and get a manager now, you've given this manager 4 months to assess his team.